What's up, guys? Happy birthday, America. Happy 4th of July to all my proud Americans out here. And this is a time where I have never been so patriotic in my entire life, even more than I was in the military. And everything that's going on in America, and also happy Pride Month, because July has been declared Pride Month by a lot of us patriots, to wash away and clean up to what happened last month. But hey, certain entities want to have months, we can have them too. And this is a proud group of people, and this is a proud country. So with everything going on here in the United States, and so many ignorant people that don't understand what this country was before and after the Declaration of Independence, the war, and then the Constitution, and then the great George Washington getting elected as our first president. He sacrificed 8.5 years in the war. Without him, we wouldn't be here. And without the great Thomas Jefferson writing this great document of the Declaration of Independence, we wouldn't have a country today. You would not be doing what you're doing. We might be speaking French right now, and I'll get into that in another video. There wouldn't be a constitution. There wouldn't be a lot of things that you have the luxury of having. And a lot of people here that's complaining about America and stuff like that. Nothing makes me more mad than that. And today I am declaring independence from this regime. And I want you guys to stand with me. It's not all about the president and stuff like that. He's a part of it. But it's about the globalists, the elites, and the people that are trying to control us into a one new world order, or one world order where we will be happy and own nothing. I won't be happy with that. And what was written in the Constitution was simple. The government's supposed to be small and supposed to help us and not be ruling over us. This is why we have three branches of government, to keep it balanced and not to have a king, because George Washington could have been the king in 1789, but he didn't want to. And it wasn't even a question whether or not he was going to be the president. He just took the mantle because there was no man better than him. You know what I mean? And because of Thomas Jefferson writing this great document we're getting ready to read here in a minute, and declaring our independence, this great nation, in my opinion, still is the best in the world. We're just having a rough go about right now. We have very weak leadership in, but again, it's not all about him. It's about the ideologies of these people behind the curtains, and we need to stand up. So what I'm doing is I'm writing a new Declaration of Independence, independent from the globalists, independent from the people that go along with the regime. And there are a lot of evil people that will sell their souls for money. And it's a shame, man. And it's an absolute shame. And the people that follow these people, the civilians and the citizens of America, don't even realize what's going on. They're being indoctrinated and they're being brainwashed. And the media and everything else is just leading them down a path of destruction. So what we're going to do, as you can see, I changed my table a little bit. We got the great John F. Kennedy. Obviously, he wasn't part of the writings of the Declaration of Independence and stuff like that. But in my opinion, he's one of the greatest, my Lord, one of the greatest leaders in our country's history. Of course, Abraham Lincoln. I know nobody's perfect and stuff, but this is one of my favorite readings of the Declaration of Independence from the great John F. Kennedy. And again, it's not all about all men are created equal and all this other stuff. The Declaration of Independence at the time in the 1770s, mid-1770s, 1776, because we're 247 years old today, there was a lot of tyranny going on. And the men that signed this document, a lot of them were killed and tortured. And they knew that before they signed this document. And again, when I say this, I'm not joking. I'll die for this, man. I will die for this country. This is why I make these videos, and this is why I'm declaring independence from this cabal regime and this evil power that has a lot of control over a lot of different things that we're going to break from. And so the Declaration of Independence was written by Thomas Jefferson, but it was revised by some other people too. But this document right here is not just about what I said earlier. It was an indictment on King Arthur III. It was just a list of 28 indictments on this man who was leading in tyranny. Now, back then, we knew who the leader was. We knew who the tyrannical person was. It was King Arthur. And a lot of people think it's the guy that's sitting in the office in our White House today. It's not. He's just a puppet. There are people that are controlling him. And I believe it's elderly abuse of what they're doing to this man. Even though he's evil and stuff like that, we have to have fair elections, man, and we got to get this country back. So we're going to listen to the great John F. Kennedy on July 4th, 2023, as we declare our independence. But this was read by the great John F. Kennedy in the 1960s, the Declaration of Independence, and we'll review it as he's talking. Take a listen.
When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them.
I don't care how many times I hear that. I just get goosebumps and get chills every time I hear those words.
That they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty, to throw off such government and to provide new gods for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world.
This right here is the meat of it, ladies and gentlemen. This is when he gets into the indictments on King Arthur III and what he's been doing, to the citizens of the 13 colonies, the second-hand or the second-class citizens, the way he treated them. This is very important. A lot of people don't know this, and they don't read it, and they're not taught it, they don't think about it. But today is a day to reflect on that. So let's hear the indictments from the Americas onto the King of Great Britain.
He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish their right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only.
In other words, they're not going to arrest or do anything to people that agree with them. And if you disagree with the regime, then you will be prosecuted and held to the highest courts. And let me tell you, you keep listening to these indictments, okay? They're going to sound very, very familiar what's going on today. These people were not standing for it, and they're so brave for that. And we would not be here if they didn't.
He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time, after such dissolutions, to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative power, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of land. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amounts and payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance.
Yeah, does this sound familiar, ladies and gentlemen? The DOI, the Department of Injustice, the other three-letter agencies that go around this country and do the bidding of these evil people and not for the people, silencing us, arresting us for going against what their evil will is. Keep listening, man. This is very, very eerie.
He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has effected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And all those indictments he just said, although they're not the exact same things because it was in the 1770s, I mean, if you just lined them up individually of what's going on today, open borders, indoctrinating these children, all these things that are going on, again, absolute power, it corrupts absolutely.
For taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our government, for suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burned our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people.
BLM riots, anyone? Antifa? I mean, burning down our cities, destroying people's lives and livelihoods and their businesses and stuff like that. You guys remember that.
He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the work of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy, scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages, and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens, taken captive on the high seas, to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections among us, and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers the merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is an indistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people.
The prince, the king's son. Who does that remind me of? I heard there was some kind of white powder in the White House. I wonder where that came from.
Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our immigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends.
My God, that gives me chills. I love that part. If you guys didn't understand that, go back and listen to that. It's so powerful, especially read by that man.
We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of a right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence. We mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
Love it, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God. Love it, love it, love it. Those are some brave men, man. And you can never forget where you come from. That's why when you hear me talking about my grandparents, and I know you guys, love your parents and things like that, you do that because they made you. You know what I mean? They made you to who you are today. And the people that came before us, those founding fathers, those 54 men that signed that document, I cannot tell you how brave they are, man. And for Thomas Jefferson to write that and George Washington lead our nation into battle and into a basically losing effort at the time, there was no way we could win against the greatest army in the world, the greatest military in the world, the greatest force and power in the world in Great Britain, and King Arthur III. But George Washington, being a distinguished man himself, dodged so many bullets, literally and figuratively. In 8 battles, he lost 4, won 3, and tied 1. And people say, well, that's a losing. It's not. Obviously, we won. And I'll get into that later, and all the great battles and the sacrifice. And again, 8.5 years on the road, and to fight and die for something that he didn't even have yet, and that was independence. And he wanted that, and that's what we need to have. We've already had it, ladies and gentlemen, in our grasp, and it's getting slowly taken away from us. And I said this before, and I'll say this again: we're frogs in a pot, and they've been cooking us slow over the decades, but now they're turned up to heat, especially in 2020. And today, we need to stand up and declare for our independence, to go back to the original document of the Declaration of Independence, and to go back to the Constitution of the United States of America, and to never forget where we come from, and not pull down our statues of these great men, and not to say, to vilify white people or white men, and our leader telling us that The biggest problem that we have is white supremacy, and there's so many indictments on this regime. And again, it's not just about him. It's about the people above him and controlling him and the bureaucrats and things like that. But it's very tough to fight a system from within the system. So we need to break out of the system. I love gold and silver, but the problem is it's controlled by men, and we cannot, even though our money is being debased every day by printing the dollars that the government promised to back it by gold. Again, greedy men will do greedy things, and we cannot control people. We cannot trust people with the gold because you never know what they're going to do. And the gold and silver is written in the Constitution, but I believe today in a technology world that Bitcoin is the way. Bitcoin is the way to get our freedom back financially, and it'll end all these wars and everything else. And again, I'll get into that in other videos. But it's permissionless, peer-to-peer. It makes us into a sovereign, individual, small government nation. You're not working so hard for a currency that's another man can print. And it's fair and just, and it's not political. It's not ran by bureaucrats. And I'm going to tell you right now, the best way to vote is with your feet. Go to somewhere where you're treated best and bet and vote with your money. The best thing you can do right now is know the civil liberties that you're getting taken away every single day, and wake up the people around you. And I'm telling you guys, to all these dollars that you're making, US dollars that you're making, that are being debased every single day because they're stealing from you, ladies and gentlemen. They're stealing from your family and your energy and things like that. You need to go ahead and buy some Bitcoin, learn about Bitcoin, buy some Bitcoin, and self-custody your Bitcoin, and make sure that no one can take it from you, and hide your passwords and things like that, and become a sovereign individual within the United States of America. And know that the American party is the party, not the Democrats, not the Republicans, and not this evil uniparty that's ran by the bureaucrats that a lot of Democrats and Republicans individually benefit from and become rich off of our backs. And we need to declare independence and freedom for our children. They're being indoctrinated, ladies and gentlemen, not educated. And for these evil cabal to teach these kids what they're teaching them in school, and to take church and separate church and state, and then to put in this evil stuff in school is an abomination. And we got to end this wokeness. We have to end it, man. It's a plague in our country. Wokeness is a plague. It's not about Democrats and Republicans. We got to end this wokeness. I declare my independence from these evil people that are controlling our sitting president. They're trying to get us under one world order, and I refuse to do that. The only order that I'm going to go with is God, my family, and my country. That's the world order I'm going with. And I choose Bitcoin. We have to drain the swamp. And in order to do that, we got to separate these parties and make one party for America, and that's the American party. We need to stop the division. Stand together, separate and divide yourselves from falsehoods, propaganda, and lies, and turn off the mainstream media. We need to implement America First policies. We need to end homelessness in this country. I have so many declarations that I want to do, and indictments against this regime. You know, we got the wide open borders. We got election interference. You know, we got alleged P-word against children with these elites on that island. You know what I'm talking about. These people will be unnamed, of course. What we did again in Afghanistan, sending our money, our taxpayer money to Ukraine. Meanwhile, we're starving on the streets and homeless, and not getting these people help, taking our rights of free speech and right to bear arms. And there's so many indictments. When I was reading, you know, the Declaration of Independence this morning, and when we just read it now, King Arthur III honestly looks like a good guy compared to what's going on today. I hate to say that. But we're so divided right now. We are so divided, and it's done on purpose. So don't look at it as red versus blue. Don't fall into that, ladies and gentlemen. They're your brothers and sisters. They're just not knowing, and it's done on purpose. We have to end this stuff, man. You got to turn off the mainstream media. You got to remember where we come from, and we come from these men right here. The founding fathers. George Washington, I don't know if you guys know this, but he doesn't have any biological children. He married into a family, a woman that was very, very rich. A lot of people say he married for money, but that's for another video. She had 2 children, but he never had any children of his own. And I believe that we're his children. We are the product of this man. if him and a lot of others, of course, but if he didn't do what he did, there's not one single man in this world outside of Thomas Jefferson writing the Declaration of Independence, and after that, there's not one single man in this world is more responsible for the United States of America than George Washington. We've got to never forget that, man. And what do you think our founding fathers, if they could see this world today, what do you think they would say? They are literally rolling over in their graves right now, ladies and gentlemen. And we got to get rid of these evil groups, the Black Lives Matters, the Antifas, anybody that separates us and tries to just destroy our cities and goes with impunity and without impunity. And January 6th, the people that got locked up for that and the young lady that got killed, I'm not going to say her name because my channel will get probably taken down, but you know who she is, unjustly got killed and nothing happened to him. But meanwhile, you got people that are literally in cages right now. They are in cages just for peacefully protesting, and they're sitting there with no trial and getting treated worse than a POW would in another country. And these are our Americans. These are our brothers and sisters locked up. Why are we not standing out there trying to get these people out, especially after Tucker Carlson came out with the January 6th videos and the more videos that came out? It's evil, man, what's going on. And we got to bring back our rightful elections. We got to bring back election day, not election weeks or days, and have a fair and balanced election all through the country, because they talk about democracy. Close our borders, stop the fentanyl from coming in, stop the people, the evil people that are being enslaved, people that are enslaving people and having them there for sex workers and indentured servants and stuff like that. And then our leadership is allegedly taking money from some of these people, and the evil drugs that are coming in from our enemies needs to stop. There's so many, again, indictments, and I have so many declarations for each indictment, and I hope you guys do too. So never forget where we come from. Happy 4th of July, Independence Day. Happy birthday to America. Thank you so much, Thomas Jefferson, and the rest of you brave men that signed this incredible document that still stands today. Thank you so much, George Washington, for what you did and sacrificed. I'm a proud American, a patriot. I love my country, man. And I'll never give up on it. And I'll tell you right now, we got to stand up to this stuff, guys. We really do. And never forget where you come from, all right? I love each and every one of you, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace and love.